Good afternoon, Paul. It's Thursday, the 5th of January. Here's the heads up brief for today.
Yep, go ahead, Uday. Thank you.
In Papua New Guinea, domestic flights have been disrupted after the country's aviation fuel supplier was unable to maintain the fuel supply due to a lack of foreign currency, Paul.
Yeah, look, thanks a lot for that. Really appreciate that update. And I've seen it over the last couple of days. It's quite an incredible situation there, especially given that the government has elected to have more or less all their AVTOR or all their aviation fuels provided by one supplier. Look, PNG's obviously a large customer base of ours, are foreign companies investing in PNG. Let's keep PNG separate though for our specific brief on Papua New Guinea and take it offline from these briefs, okay?
Sure, Paul, we'll do that.
Specifically to, just sorry, mate, and more so on the issues in the Highlands, and though very important to brief me on, do so on the PNG briefings, okay?
Right, Paul. We'll do that. This is kind of related, but in Indonesia, well, related to the Highlands, in Indonesia, authorities are looking to set up new provincial police departments for the four new provinces created last year in Papua.
Okay. I mean, you wouldn't think to do that when you looked to set up provinces. Oh, we've only got police everywhere else. Way too many of them, and they're ineffective. But it's sad to see that that's an afterthought for a company that's country that's as old as Indonesia is.
Yeah. In central Java, flooding continues to disrupt travel and people are being evacuated. Authorities are on alert there.
Yep, I saw the heat map on that. Thanks.
Yeah. In Malaysia, several states have reintroduced the use of face masks due to a rising number of COVID cases.
Is that specific to China travel, or is that just a purely domestic thing?
They're doing it domestically, Paul. It has come in response to more cases from China. There is a surge of cases in Malaysia at the moment.
Okay, but I'm expecting there's probably a surge everywhere, mate, given China's suddenly travelling again and the lax way that they control supervised tests in China.
Yeah. Paul, in Myanmar, a company called Gold Patrol has started drilling its latest well. It remains one of the few upstream players that remain in the country since the takeover. Gold Patrol is owned by a Singapore-based petroleum exploration and production company.
Okay, in Terra Resources. Okay, now look, that's very interesting because, there's the whole issue going on now with the Norwegian sovereign fund, was it, that pulled out of Myanmar, and various law cases that Singapore, funnily enough, and you don't need to be a genius to guess why, but Singapore is the largest single investor into Myanmar, foreign investor into Myanmar, I should say, and most conveniently, they're not a signatory to many things that may impact financial returns. They're more focused on the financial returns and financial stability and a high level of prosperity rather than necessarily who's the victims of that. So obviously we're writing an extremely in-depth report now for our clients on this particular issue and how it could impact some of them that think they're too big to be impacted, but reputational issues as the PDF, the People's Defence Forces, gain a level of maturity could turn out that various companies learn a little bit more about risk management and at 5 levels of potential impacts on a risk assessment or a waste of time when you're meddling in these kinds of risk environments. Thanks, Uday.
Thanks, Paul. This just came out a little while ago. In Thailand, Prime Minister Prayut is expected to formally apply for membership for the United Thai Nation Party on the 9th of January.
Okay, look, that's excellent. I mean, he's as I've been on record before, he's jockeying ultimate control over many different political parties, getting the popular and the respected to head up political parties so that he can fundamentally ensure that he or people that he delegates future power to after his tenure is over. But it's all ultimately going to be controlled by the ultimate power in the country. He's merely, if you like, the chief of staff for the top echelon of society, which I don't think we need to point out who that is. Go ahead, mate.
Right, Paul. In South Asia, the Pakistani Taliban issued a threat against two leading political parties, warning them against supporting military action against the group. Now, this comes days after it unveiled an expanded organizational structure, which included a suicide brigade. We have an assessment on these developments coming out today, but the situation in Pakistan is not looking good.
Now, is that two leading political parties, including Imran Khan, or two only leading political parties, part of a coalition that are running the country?
They're part of the coalition that are leading the country. They noticeably didn't mention Imran Khan's party.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
In Bangladesh, authorities are increasing security around the parliament in Dhaka ahead of the start of the new session. There's also been an increase in calls to increase security nationwide as the country prepares for the upcoming elections.
Okay, thank you.
In Europe, Middle East, and Africa, in France, the Yellow Vest protesters will resume demonstrations against inflation and proposals for pension reform this week in France. They'll start off with protests. They'll focus mainly in Paris, but they will try to organize protests in other places also.
Okay, thanks a lot. Fantastic.
Well, that's a brief for today. Anything else from you?
No, we'll have a good chat tomorrow. I've got to fly. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Paul.